Welcome to the Insurance Marketing Organization podcast, where financial services marketing expert Seth Green interviews IMO experts, executives, and top producers to share can't-miss tips on how they successfully manage their IMOs, grow their businesses, create great relationships, and influence the industry. And now, here's your host, Seth Green.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Green. Today, I've got the good fortune to be interviewing a legend in the business, Tyrone Clark, president and founder of Broker's Choice of America. BCA has been responsible for more than $8 billion in annuity premium. Mr. Clark has designed several successful annuity products. He's authored books on annuities. He's written numerous articles. He's been featured on radio talk shows and television programs. He sits on the advisory board of several insurance companies and agencies and has lectured throughout the country. Tyrone, thanks so much for joining us.
You bet. Thank you. Just one little point. We've done now over 15 billion.
Oh my goodness. We need to update the website.
Yes.
Well, congratulations on almost doubling since the last time. That's incredible. Let's go back in time a little bit. How'd you get started in the business?
Well, Seth, I got started when I was about 17 years old, and I was very fortunate to meet a person at that time who became my mentor, and he was a life insurance expert. He was an estate planning producer and CLU at top of the table MDRT member. I was enamored by insurance. I started to work for him. When I was 17, I became vice president of his company when I was 23. And around that time, although my partner he became my partner and we were into life insurance. We introduced the first universal life policy in 1981, but annuities start to emerge around then. And I fell in love with annuities, which is extremely rare. I kind of focused my whole career around annuities. And so I've tremendous amount of things that happened after that time. But I will say what brought me into the annuities is there was a wonderful woman. Her name was Molly McGovern, and she was kind of like the Susie Orman of that time, which is late 70s, early 80s. And she was a tremendous annuity producer, and she had broke down the products to the nth degree, and then she educated me as somebody who's probably 19 years old about the magic of annuities. And that I became like an annuity missionary, understanding things from, thank goodness for that amazing woman who used to be the top mutual fund salesman in the world. And she converted to selling annuities. And that's kind of how I got my start.
That is incredible. So what made you fall in love with annuities as an investment vehicle?
Well, she taught me to what I still remember to this day, which I talked to agents about for 43 years, is when it comes to the safe side of the equation, as opposed to risk, you have a product that is truly almost magical in that it provides safety, liquidity, tax advantages, competitive returns without risk, probate avoidance, simplicity, exchangeability, and income you cannot outlive. We go back to about the 80s, we just started to talk about people beginning to retire. And then, of course, the age wave came. I was a student of Dr. Kent Dykewald. He wrote the book, The Age Wave, and he talked about these mass number of people are going to be coming into retirement. And annuities, we didn't have this buzzword around that time, Seth, but we have the buzzword today is longevity risk. The wonderful thing about an annuity, besides all the features I talked about, annuities are the only product that can solve for longevity risk. In fact, there's a winner of the Nobel Prize who did a study on retirement, and Dr. Robert Milton, I believe is his name. If you want the article, I'd be happy to give it to you, to give to anybody. These little things like my passionate stuff, when you have a magnificent professor such as Dr. Robert Milton, who did a study about retirement, and he said, Wall Street cannot sustain longevity, no matter kind of what the whole mixture is of concoction. He said, you've got to have a guaranteed type of product like an annuity. And now that's not quite 100% of his quote, but if you want that, I think it's so important. If you're a financial advisor, whether you're 65 securities or insurance agent, you've got to learn about these products, but you got to learn what's under the hood. And longevity risk is critical today. And so anyway, I've got mountains and mountains of stuff like that. That's what I love to do. My passion, instead of hunting, golfing, fishing, is studying about annuities.
I appreciate the disclaimer. How did BCA get started?
Well, was fortunate to be a national sales director for Brokers International, a wonderful company. I was there to start their annuity operations. And then I had the opportunity, 1990, to start my own FMO. It was just an amazing time because nobody knew about annuities, understood annuities. So I was very blessed to have a blue ocean to paint with the annuity brush during that time.
And what do you think it is that makes BCA stand out from other companies who do some of what you do?
Well, of course, I'm going to, have a lot of prejudice there, but we have a real different business model, Seth. Instead of what a lot of the FMOs do is they try to attract agents around the owner of the FMO, who may have been a producer. I used to do that for many, many years and teaching classes for advisors. But instead, we work in quite a few different markets. And what separates us is that we have the federal government employee market, we have the Social Security retirement market, the IRA 401k rollover market, we got the college planning market, the estate planning market, and a few others. And the goal is to find an individual who is highly successful in that market to build basically a franchise around that turnkey process, and then expose that business model to agents, support them and help them and work with them. So it's basically almost like a franchise within those different markets. We have standing behind that is I feel that my annuity training is the best there is in the industry. There's wonderful people out there in the annuity market, but I have materials that a lot of folks have never even seen when it comes to annuities. And so to answer your question, we have a layer of tremendous education behind all the different markets and how the insurance products apply to those markets.
15 billion is an incredible number. It's bigger than, some small countries. How have you grown BCA to such heights?
Well, there's periods during the last 33 years where we had jumped up really high in production. And that's due to, I'm kind of known as a person or one of the people that started the retirement seminars. Everybody does retirement seminars, dinner seminars, no dinner, or university classroom sponsored. Well, I was one of the first people. The other person was Richard Metcalf, was a wonderful guy who had passed away. And we were probably the first two that were running around the whole country doing retirement seminars where we would show agents how to do them. Then came along some other companies that did a heck of a great job with seminars as well. But to answer your question, we had agents, and still to this day in every state, literally, doing seminars and workshops and classes. So what gave us a big rise is we were one of the first to be out there with consumer seminars. And a seminar is a system where an advisor can get 30 people in a room, book appointments with 70-80%, and do that every 2 weeks. That's kind of rose us way above everybody pretty quick.
Absolutely. What do you think some of the biggest mistakes financial advisors and agents are making when it comes to trying to grow their practice in the era of COVID?
Well, man, I'll tell you what, Seth, I don't want anyone to think this is like an advertisement for Seth, but Seth is a lifesaver because we had seminars, classes, workshops all over the country, hundreds of them every week. That went to zero when COVID hit. So we had to desperately try to change into the digital world. Well, the wonderful thing about Seth is that he's already been there for a long time. He already knew what to do. To answer your question, converting to online digital process with folks like Seth was a lifeline for us to get back on track. Now, seminars are starting to come back, which is a great thing. In my opinion, there's nothing that replaces face-to-face selling. But people became so used to using the internet, Zoom as an example. There's a silver lining. When you get something bad, it actually opens up an opportunity. So what happened is when you take this whole national population that was not used to doing their daily lives on Zoom, all of a sudden they're at home working on Zoom. There are teachers at home teaching on Zoom. So it shoved the whole nation into the digital world immediately. that situation have put them in a position to be a Zoom and internet savvy. All we have to do is have somebody like Seth that knows how to put the whole thing together. So I would say don't try to do it yourself. The opportunity cost is way too much. Work with an expert, but Seth has been doing this a long time before COVID happened. So I think, the industry should kind of give an award to people like Seth for helping all the agents. I mean, that's true.
Wow. Well, thank you. That was unprompted. Your check is in the mail.
Okay.
Really appreciate that. How did you become involved in product design?
I actually designed the first annuity I did was in 1993. And now prior to that, working with Brokers International, we were able to come up with ideas for product design that we would give to carriers, and then they would put it together. And that's what a lot of companies do now. But then I was able to work with an actuary and design a product for a company, and then that led to more products down the road.
When you were designing products, what problems were you trying to solve for?
Well, that's a good one. So what's amazing thing about designing products, Seth, is you have to have a win-win-win. It's got to be a win for the consumer. Okay, that's number one. It's got to be a win for the agent. Okay, number two, and it's got to be a win for the insurance company. Everybody has to come out ahead. And if you have it off balance, it's just not going to work. If it's too weighted towards the insurance company, it's not going to work. Too weighted to just the agent, it's not going to work. It's got to be weighted, in my opinion, for the consumer, because that consumer is driving competition, where you just got to listen and learn from the consumer what they need and want, and from the agent and the insurance company. Then it's a matter of balancing and adjusting. It's a process of working with the actuaries, the comptroller of the company, the investment people of the insurance company, working with the marketing people, and then working with the agents and the consumers. If you put it all together like you're going to bake a great cake, you got to have the right batter, right ingredients, you got to have it all to come out with a winner. And that's kind of how the process works.
What have been some of the biggest lessons you've learned along the way growing BCA to such an incredible amount?
Well, what I learned is to serve others. So if it's in your heart, okay, to serve another person, wonderful things happen from that. So our job is to serve the agent. Independent agents are in a lonely position. They're operating by themselves, and they're in a very challenging situation because they're small business people. They have a finite amount of capital. They're under stress to close cases, get them paid, and move on to the next, and then pay all their bills. So our job is to help in the entire process of what the agent does with a servant attitude. So if we're there to serve consumers through the agent, you're going to win. The money comes later. And then the other thing is your loyalty from the agents is going to be there because they know they can call somebody that cares about them, wants to serve and help them, doesn't look at them. We're a relationship company. All the agents, there's thousands of them I've worked with, I would get to know personally, go on trips with them, know their family, all sorts of things. So the goal is, and I think it's a good goal for insurance companies and for agents, if you're here to serve them, everything else comes later and it falls into place.
That makes a lot of sense. Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you do?
Help people every single day. So I just want to say something about that. You know what we do, Seth, what you do, what agents do, is the greatest thing in the world is to uncover and discover a problem. I tell an agent, if there's no problem to solve, there's no sale. So we're in the greatest business there is, because when you look outside there, all those masses of people have all kinds of financial problems. They have a tax problem. This year is going to be really huge because of the new tax proposals. You've got catastrophic illness, which is an aging illness problem. You have market risk. So I could go down the list. So we're problem solvers. If you serve somebody, but you got to uncover and discover the problem. Here's the greatest thing in the world. And what I like about you, Seth, is in your marketing, you have the ability to hit the nail right on the head when it comes to that consumer. See that? I just want to say this. There's so many digital people out there, but they don't understand. They really don't understand how to put the language correct and uncover the problem and boom, right there. So an agent can rely on you, Seth, so that you hit that for them. And as far as I'm concerned, if Seth delivers a prospect to you that wants a conversation with you and they're qualified, it's your job to take it from there. Sometimes I think agents look at Seth that you're almost going to sell the whole case for them, right? That's our job.
That
We
we're
educate
flying
them.
out to their house and meeting with their prospects.
Yeah, but I'm going to say this. I could have retired 20 years ago, could retire tomorrow, but right now the business is so doggone exciting. The opportunity today for a 65 securities and agent is the greatest I've ever seen in my 43-year history. It's no bigger, nothing is stronger than what it is today because the problems are bigger.
Absolutely. For our folks in the industry watching and listening, where is the best place for them to go to learn more about you and BCA?
Well, I don't set up our website so you can get on it, and everything changes so fast. So to answer that question, I told everyone I'm a relationship person. You can contact me. Every agent has a complete different situation. I like to listen to an agent tells me, and then I very blessed and gifted to take what I learn about the agent to help package and put that together with somebody like Seth. And what I tell the agent is don't worry about what Seth does and how he does it. I don't care what he does. I don't care how he does it. I don't want to get involved in that. All I want him is to deliver for me and I take it from there. A qualified prospect that wants a conversation, right? But you've got to have the wherewithal. So let an expert do their job. You don't go visit a doctor and then tell the doctor, doctor, I think that you should be doing this, you should be doing that, and whatever. That's sometimes what happens. So call me up and talk to me. Call my Kathy, get on our schedule. You know what? You can be your own judge and go from there. But Seth, I used to travel the nation doing seminars for agents. I did almost 2,000 seminars in 49 states. You're going to learn in that process. I showed the agents what to do with the clients. So I'm not an FMO that throws products out there and so forth. I'm an agent in the field type FMO. I still love doing seminars. I still love doing webinars for consumers. I have to have my hands in all the way down to know what's going on. And so they can call me.
All right. We will get everybody that information. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. This has been Seth Green with Tyrone Clark of Broker's Choice America. Tyrone, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. I would just say one thing, Seth. Seth is a fun guy, has a great family. Get to know Seth on an individual basis, a personal basis, and he cares about the people he works with. That's important. But always remember, though, where his job stops, you have your responsibility. That's a big thing for me is professional sales skills. A lot of the work is done with somebody like Seth puts a client in front of you. Anyway, thanks, Seth. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Thank you.